Dominica's Prime Minister makes a multi-million-dollar appeal at the climate change conference in Germany. Our top story for Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, November 16 from the CMC News Center in Bridgetown. I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit on Thursday went to the United Nations Climate Change Conference with a list of more than $300 million in needs for his country in the aftermath of the September 18th impact of the powerful Hurricane Maria. The Category 5 hurricane damaged or destroyed 90% of buildings, wiped out over 22% of Dominica's GDP, caused major damage to agriculture, tourism and the housing sectors, severely impacted public infrastructure and decimated forests. Before making his appeal, Skerrit shared with the international community the current state of affairs in his country.
2 months later, 95% of the country remains without electricity. Our water systems are compromised. Many citizens remain displaced and in shelters. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the reality of climate change.
The conference is discussing the implementation of the Paris Agreement, which deals with greenhouse gas emissions, mitigation, adaptation and finance starting in the year 2020. Skerrit told the members of the international community they had a chance of bringing meaning to that climate deal by providing assistance to his Eastern Caribbean island as it seeks to rise from the ashes. The Dominican leader outlined that $90 million is needed to rebuild and make schools, hospitals and clinics climate resilient. $56 million is needed to get running water throughout the country. Another $37 million is needed to establish an entire system of climate resilient agriculture, irrigation and food production, and another $15 million is required to complete an investment in geothermal energy that would provide a significant boost to Dominica's renewable energy sector.
We call for your assistance, support and partnership. We ask you not to allow climate change to be reduced to a cultural war fought from armchairs. We ask you not to allow the skeptics to sneer, saying, "I told you COP was all hot air," and that nothing real will change. I urge you today not to betray the Paris Agreement. Let us operationalize it now. Give Paris meaning now, not on paper, but here in this forum. Stand with us. Pledge today to help fund the first climate resilient nation. Help us to rebuild our homes, schools, pipes and hospitals in a climate resilient way.
Meantime, Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, says her organization stands ready to support Caribbean countries most affected by recent natural disasters. She gave the commitment as she addressed the opening of the 2017 High-Level Caribbean Forum in Jamaica on Thursday. The one-day meeting brings together members of the region's political and financial sectors in an effort to look at ways they can partner to achieve growth and strengthen resilience. The IMF boss said it was unfortunate that despite efforts to create a stable macroeconomic environment, sustained economic growth in the Caribbean remains elusive.
And while some authorities, actually many in the region, have made the effort in terms of macroeconomic stability, in terms of fiscal efforts, yet growth is somehow resisting those efforts. And it's actually a bit of a puzzle as to why that is. And one really needs to explore what are the reasons, because there is no one single explanation as to why growth is still lagging behind despite the efforts that have been undertaken.
But Lagarde says there is no single explanation for the disappointing growth, citing external shocks such as natural disasters which affected agriculture in particular, as well as loss of international trade preferences.
At the same time, the Caribbeans have not been able to fully insulate themselves from such shocks because of large macroeconomic imbalances. Growth has also been affected by structural impediments, and a few come to mind. The high cost of electricity, limited access to credit for both households and small and medium-sized enterprises, high rates of violent crime, and a persistent outflow of highly skilled workers, the well-known brain drain. So what can we do moving forward to address those issues? Well, that's what is bringing us this morning, and we have tried in organizing this conference with the Jamaican authorities to tackle all those issues in a very comprehensive way.
Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness agrees that domestic imbalance, high public debt, high energy costs and brain drain are some of the factors that affect economic growth in the region. But he adds that there are also significant structural problems.
We have significant structural problems as well that impede growth. Structural problems like inefficient bureaucracies within our public sector that need real and deep reforms to make them more efficient and more responsive and effective in service delivery and in carrying out their regulatory and permitting duties.
Holness added that the region or constraints in the region must be used as a catalyst for innovation.
The economic thinking in the Caribbean on growth is always constrained by the fiscal realities. For many Caribbean governments, we are not able to spend our way to growth. That is our reality. So we have to think harder to develop policies that foster growth. We have to focus on ensuring that we build a strong partnership with the private sector, because ultimately it is the private sector that is the engine of growth. That is, for us, the Jamaican experience.
In other news now, former Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar will face one less challenge to her bid to retain leadership in the opposition party later this month. That's because Vasant Bharat on Wednesday withdrew himself and his team from the race, claiming there were several irregularities in the election process that gave the incumbent party leader an unfair advantage. His announcement came on nomination day, a week and a half before the UNC's November 26 internal elections.
We shall not participate in a poll in which the offered slate of candidates of the incumbent political leader starts at an unfair and significant advantage.
An advantage that Mr. Barrett felt his team, which included Larry Lala, Stephen Cadiz and Stacey Rupnarine, could not surmount. He explained that he had written to the UNC General Secretary requesting information concerning the members list as a means to prepare for his campaign. He said his requests were met with dismissive responses, yet he had come to learn that the Superior MP had an extensive list of UNC members and had even started a calling list for her campaign. He once again took issue with Ms. Kamala Persad-Bissessar's use of the party's Monday night forum to promote her campaign and attack her competitors.
It is therefore with much regret to the thousands of electors within the rank and file of the United National Congress who seek meaningful change at the level of its leadership in order to set the party on the path of a great victory over the PNM and a return to government, that I say that I cannot and I will not lead any group or any team into this charade and this illegality.
Mr. Bharat said the UNC's planned challenge of the appointment of the EBC's chief election officer should be backed up by the conduct of the party with regard to internal elections, and as such made one more challenge to the superior MP.
Leaders must lead by example, and therefore I ask her to stand with me today in calling for the resignation of Dr. Rampersad Parasram and the entire Election and Management Committee forthwith to both save themselves and the party further embarrassment.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, Jamaica nurses reject government's wage increase offer. The details of that story and more after the break. Stay with us.
From November 16th to 19th, 2017 for the Barbados Food and Rum Festival, where acclaimed Barbadian chefs and mixologists are joined by Chef Jean-Georges of the US, Chef Tom Akins of the UK, Chef Chris De La Rosa of Canada, to create dining experiences to delight the senses. Visit goingplacestravel.com to book your packages and visit www.foodandrum.com for more information.
Why did it take Italy so long to even be on the verge of not the other way, but going into the World Cup? Now, this preliminary round of the World Cup prep started in March of 2015. Italy was not able to qualify. Do they even deserve to be in this World Cup?
I mean, we have to look at it this way. It's not like CONCACAF where 4 out of 6 teams make it, or CONMEBOL where 5 teams make it. It's in Europe. It's 9 groups.
Nurses in Jamaica have rejected a wage increase offer, and they say they won't relent until the government comes with a better one. The government has offered a 3% increase on wage in years 1 and 2. And Carmen Johnson, president of the Nurses Association of Jamaica, said the Andrew Holness administration also wanted a freeze on existing allowances at the current rate. But she said when nurses met on Wednesday morning, they expressed disappointment and anger with what government had put on the table.
They have seen it as one that has been very disrespectful to them, with no due consideration for their worth and the worth of nursing in Jamaica. And so at this time they are very, according to us, to them, they are not surrendering and they are not retreating. And so we are saying to the government they have got to think again and to come back with a better proposal to us, because we in essence not accepting what is offered at this time. And so they are very angry. They have not taken it very well.
Over in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has rebutted a claim that he announced appointments for graduate teachers in an attempt to avoid a lawsuit against his government. Last month, he announced that come January, his government would begin paying graduate salaries to 100 teachers who had been waiting since 2012 to be appointed. And he said the remaining teachers would be appointed over a 3-year period. But last week, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union said the government made an announcement at a time when the union's lawyer was preparing affidavits to file a lawsuit challenging the non-appointment of the teachers. Otto Sam, Industrial Relations Officer at the Teachers Union, suggested that the Gonzalez administration was forced to act after getting wind that the union was interviewing teachers to prepare for the legal action. But Gonzalez insisted that the records would show that some teachers who graduated later than others have been appointed. He says there are several factors that determine why the Ministry of Education recommends an appointment. Operators of public service and heavy-duty vehicles in Barbados will be subjected to random drug testing under amended road traffic legislation introduced in Parliament on Tuesday. Minister of Transport and Works Michael Lashley also announced that the much-talked-about breathalyzer testing will become a reality under that Road Safety Amendment Act. Lashley blamed some of the country's serious accidents on drivers using drugs, alcohol or other substances. And he says the Frundle Stewart administration is determined to rid the country of the reckless and inconsiderate behavior of some drivers.
There is in the road traffic act an offense for driving under the influence. But we believe, again, to keeping in a road safety mandate. And the fact is that the use of alcohol, the use of the consumption of alcohol, the use of any other substance, drugs, whatever, will obviously impair the person who is in control of that vehicle. And we are saying that this amendment is absolutely necessary. Absolutely necessary in promoting and protecting the traveling public, consisting of drivers, passengers, and general road users.
Britain's Prince Charles is scheduled to visit Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica and the British Virgin Islands for a first-hand view of the widespread devastation caused by Hurricane Maria and Irma in September. Now, it will be his first official trip to the 3 Caribbean nations. During the 3-day tour, he will meet members of the local communities and hear about ways in which they have been recovering. Now, Prince Charles is scheduled to arrive in Antigua and Barbuda on Friday. He will visit Barbuda and the British Virgin Islands on Saturday. Then on Sunday, he will be in Dominica. And ahead in Newsline Sport, Jamaican Olympian Nestor Carter has his appeal against a doping decision heard before the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Join us from November 16th to 19th, 2017 for the Barbados Food and Rum Festival, where acclaimed Barbadian chefs and mixologists are joined by Chef Jean-Georges of the U.S., Chef Tom Akins of the U.K., Chef Chris De La Rosa of Canada, to create dining experiences to delight the senses. Visit goingplacestravel.com to book your packages and visit www.foodandrum.com for more information.
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and CaribVision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call and book your carnival or event today.
How Crow and Shanta King was doing what they want.
I was very uncomfortable with the project manager.
They will just pay me whatever they feel like paying me.
How were we able to order
millions of dollars worth of equipment.
I cannot account for that, sir.
That
I
did not
cannot
meet the
account.
specifications of that particular hospital.
I was not the only one who was opposed to it. There were a number of other cabinet colleagues.
I don't instruct myself. I don't advise myself.
They were using civil donors construction name to do whatever they choose to do.
Who is they?
Conrad.
This is your perception.
There were no approved plans. By the road has to have
your-
approved plans.
This is your
We're
perception.
building a
And
hospital
I hope
without
we don't
approved
continue
plans.
along this line. Let us move on.
Really?
Jamaican sprinter Nestor Carter on Wednesday had his appeal heard before the Court of Arbitration for Sport in Switzerland as he sought to clear his name after testing positive for a banned stimulant. The stimulant, methylhexanamine, was found in Carter's urine sample from the Olympic Games in Beijing in 2008, and he's appealing on the grounds that it was not added to the World Anti-Doping Agency's list of banned substances until 2010, 2 years after the Olympics. Now, the appeal hearing lasted all day and some final submissions are still to be filed. A panel will then deliberate. As we hear in this report from TVJ's Jermaine Brown, a decision is expected early next year.
Embattled Jamaican sprinter Nestor Carter, who had to wait 10 months for the hearing before court's highest court, arrived at the headquarters of CAS along with his two UK-based attorneys, Kendra Potts and Queen's Counsel Kate Gallifant. The 2013 World 100 meters bronze medalist has challenged the IOC's decision to disqualify him and Jamaican teammates Michael Frater, Asafa Powell, Usain Bolt and Dwight Thomas, who ran in the preliminary round after reanalysis of his doping sample from the 2008 Olympic Games found the banned substance methylhexanamine last year. Carter declined to comment at the end of Wednesday's proceedings in Switzerland.
How was the hearing?
Speaking with Reuters TV, Secretary General of CAS, Mathieu Reeb, provided an update on the day-long hearing.
We had a full-day hearing. Now there are some final submissions to be filed, and the panel will deliberate probably at the end of this year for a decision later, probably next year.
When this reporter contacted Carter's attorney, Kendra Potts, by telephone on Wednesday afternoon, she declined to comment.
Really sorry. I know. I've just seen your email. I'm sorry. I can't comment because I'm acting for him, I'm afraid.
Meanwhile, Reeb also spoke of the possible outcomes after the panel deliberates on the arguments put forward by both legal teams.
I can confirm that if, in the end, the appeal is upheld by the CAS, then the decision of the IOC would be overturned and rankings that Nestor Carter could obtain at the Olympic Games in Beijing would remain confirmed. While if the appeal is dismissed, the IOC decision will remain in force, which means that Nestor Carter would be disqualified from these games.
Meanwhile, Jamaica Olympic Association President Christopher Samuda is confident Carter will be cleared of any wrongdoing. He said depending on the reasons that are given in the decision of the Court of Arbitration for Sport, other cases could come forward with other aggrieved athletes relying on Carter's case. To football now, following the 1-1 draw with Guyana in the international friendly at the Atto Boldon Stadium on Tuesday night, Trinidad and Tobago's head coach Dennis Lawrence says he's not disappointed with his team's performance, although his men were forced to come from behind to earn a share of the spoils. Lawrence says the match has guided him on his picks for the lineup for the next World Cup. Terence Clark of TV6 Sport tells us more.
After coming from behind in their last contest against Grenada, a more aggressive Trinidad and Tobago would have been expected to start this contest against Guyana. And they did look the part in the early exchanges, but Guyana were the ones who broke the deadlock when Caledonia's Sheldon Holder headed home in the 19th minute. That's how it stayed at the half. TNT in a hole for the second consecutive game, needed to find the equalizer and couldn't complain of not getting chances. Neil Benjamin Jr., guilty on a couple of occasions,
the W Connection winger better get it right for Friday's First Citizens Cup final. But he did help to create the equalizer on the hour mark, flicking onto substitute Shadon Winchester, who slotted home pass at the keeper. TNT went looking for a winner, but again, finishing was the issue. Nathan Lewis firing over the bar. Guyana as well were guilty as this contest ended in a 1-1 draw.
I mean, sometimes you need to be realistic as well. You know, we could have been in weaker situation and play Spain and get hammered 5-0 because we're not ready for that. So there's no point in me sitting here and saying that we're ready for the likes of the Spains and the Germanys and the Brazils. We're not at that level yet. So the idea now is to work, continue to work on the football pitch, continue to progress as a group. And as we go along, then we need to start elevating the level of the opposition, because if you play the wrong opposition, you can take 10 steps back. We need to start going forward.
The coach also said that he got a good look at some of the players that could become a staple on the national team. Lawrence also believes that the TT Pro League needs to be strengthened. As for the game itself, Guyana's coach Wayne Dover had some very interesting pre-game observations.
Having defeated the US, eliminating them out of the World Cup, we have a phrase in Guyana, we say Trinidad, tail stand up like flagpole, right? So we came here tonight to bob that tail. So we look carefully at what they were doing, and we saw that, you know, a lot of good movements in the offense, very good tricky players, and they concentrate a lot on breaking down and penetrating through the center. So we pack our midfield, and we plan to stay compact as it would to frustrate them. And we know from watching the game against Grenada how vulnerable they were when the transition took place. And we know at one stage, once we get those kind of free run at the goal, we can score a goal.
And that's the sports. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Shh, look, listen, feel, realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
This is the plaintiff, Miguel Simmons. He's suing Marcus Johnson for the cost of airfare, hotel, and pain and suffering for being misled. He prays the court will award him the sum of $2,100. This is the defendant, Marcus Johnson, also known as Keisha Johnson. He is countersuing for missed days from work and assault for the sum of $3,000. This is the case of Fly Me to Hobo.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Shh, look, listen, feel, realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
Again, the major developments of this day. Dominica's Prime Minister makes a multi-million-dollar appeal at the Climate Change Conference in Bonn, Germany. And in sport, Jamaica Olympian Nesta Carter has his appeal against a doping decision heard before the Court of Arbitration for Sport. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. Good night.